Let's see, are we back? Looks like we are. All right. Hey, everybody. Good to see you again. So I did a little live stream earlier today, just kind of explaining that I was test driving some new equipment. We got a camera upgrade going on, which I hope you've noticed and are excited about like I am. And so I wanted to do a follow-up live stream right now just to go over some basic updates, what's going on in the Curious About Cannabis world, ecosystem, and we'll see where it goes. So the first thing I wanted to do was to talk about the third edition of the Curious About Cannabis book, which I'm super, super excited about. I've been working on it for a long time. I mean, overall, I've been working on the Curious About Cannabis book for, I think, 6 or 7 years or so. I started on it in 2015, I think. So to see it get to its third edition and the form that it's in, I'm really, really stoked. So I have my copy of the book here. This is what she looks like, the third edition of the book. Give you a good view there. And one thing I did with this book, you'll notice the QR code in the top here. I tried to make this book really interactive. So there's a lot of QR codes and references to things to try to get people connected from the book into other resources, other tools and things that I think will help them learn about whatever has come about, that they're reading on at the time. So it's 550 pages. It's not small. It's definitely the biggest one yet. I wonder if I have the second edition. I do have the first edition. Hold on. So here's what the first edition looked like. And then here's what the third edition looks like. And so you can see just how much bigger the book is, both in number of pages, but just outright size. It's really cool to see how this book has come along. And I've had professors reach out to me from universities across the United States and Canada that say that they've started to use the book as a resource in their cannabis science courses that they're teaching in college. So that's really special to me. I'm super excited about that because I originally wrote this book, the first edition, with the idea of like, if I could go back to college and take a cannabis science class, what would it look like? What would excite me? So anyway, that's the Curious About Cannabis book, the third edition. If you want to get a copy, you can go to cacpodcast.com/book or curiousaboutcannabisbook.com. Right now, I am sold out, so you can also find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of that good stuff. But yeah, I am sold out right now, hoping to get more inventory here in a bit. But if you can catch it from the website, I do sign them and try to make it, kind of special. So that's one thing we have going on is the book. And if you happen to be in college and you're in a class that you think should be using this book, tell your professor about it. I really want to get this book in more schools and in more training programs, cannabis coaching programs, etc. What else do we have going on? We have a couple of other books that came out recently. So a couple of other things that I've been working on that I pushed out. One is our Curious About Cannabis Curiosity Journal. That's what it looks like there. This is the hardback version, which is what I recommend. It's pretty sturdy. And this journal I came up with as a tool to accompany some of the classes that I teach. And it's not like a normal cannabis journal. Like there are a lot of journals about journaling your experience with cannabis. And there is a place to do that in this journal, but that's not really its main function. Its main function is helping you to keep track of things you're learning from research that you're reading as you're studying cannabis science. But there's a lot in here about setting your own, cannabis preferences, getting to really understand your specific relationship with cannabis and kind of thinking through that on the page. Each page has a place for an I wonder statement. So if you say, like, I wonder why cannabis produces trichomes, you might write that down and then keep track of notes related to that question on these pages so that you kind of keep your research, organized. And then there's other sections for, again, keeping track of, so there's a research log where you can keep track of different research papers that you found valuable as you were studying different topics. Then, of course, there's the kind of like experience journal bit, a little bit of that in here. And then at the end, one thing that I find really interesting in my classes is to challenge people to list their primary takeaways from the class. So that's another thing that's in here, where you go through and you list, the top 50 things that you learned while you were studying whatever it is that you were studying. So that's the Curious About Cannabis Curiosity Journal. It's really meant to accompany cannabis science classes where students are researching things and having to keep track of research and that sort of thing. It's also really good just if you're a very just serious reader and learner about cannabis, and you want a journal that is designed to support your learning. That's really what it's designed for. So that's the Curiosity Journal. And then I also released, I don't know why I hadn't done this before, but I also released these. This is the Educator and Student Workbook. And these are collections of quizzes, activities, games, all sorts of things that I've used when I teach about cannabis. So the Educator's Workbook, the main difference is that the Educator's Workbook has the answers in it, whereas the Student Workbook, for the most part, doesn't have the answers to the activities and everything. And there's all sorts of cool stuff in here, matching games, word scrambles. There's this extraction fraction matching game, where you match up different extraction types, different cannabis testing method types. There's like a medical vocabulary matching activity, just all sorts of little things to try to help anyone who's out there teaching about cannabis science, to give you some things to work with in your classes. There's also a whole section with hands-on activities like experiments and things like that you can do in some places, where cannabis is legal. Though technically, you can do any of this with hemp. Anything that refers to cannabis, hemp is cannabis. So anything can be done with hemp, but you always have to pay attention to your laws and that sort of thing. But there's stuff like sketching a cannabis trichome, doing pigment extractions, which technically you could do with any plant material. You wouldn't have to necessarily just use cannabis. There's an activity in here of comparing plant aromas and thinking about the terpenes in those aromas and how they relate to cannabis. You don't even have to touch the cannabis plant to do that. So all sorts of stuff. That's in the Educator and Student Workbooks. So, I hope that between the new edition of the book and the workbooks and the Curiosity Journal, there's also a lab notebook we put out as well that has all sorts of handy conversions and stuff like that on it. But I'm hoping that these resources will be helpful to some of you out there that are trying to maybe start your own coaching or teaching programs, or maybe you're professors that are teaching college classes on cannabis science, or you're just super curious and trying to learn as much as you can and you need some resources to help you do it. That's what we're here for. So that's some of what we've had going on. I've been working on building those for The past 6 months or so have mostly been wrapped up in building all of this content. And now that we're into the new year, my goal is to make tons of video content like this. I'm really excited to finally have the SLR camera to be able to talk to you and really feel like the quality is there, and that when I'm looking into the camera, I actually feel like I'm talking to somebody. So I don't know. I feel like the quality of all of the YouTube content is about to go up quite a bit. I'm going to try to post a lot more. I'm really challenging myself to create a lot of content this year and see what happens. And hopefully, we see the platform develop in some really interesting ways. Other things that we have going on, I've been continuing to do work on the virtual campus. If you haven't checked that out yet, I suggest you go do it. You can go to cacpodcast.com, and if you go to up at the top and go to Learn, and go down to the bottom of the little menu that comes down, and there's a link that'll say Virtual Campus, and if you click on that, you'll go into the metaverse. I learned really quickly that calling it a metaverse was an easy way to get people to shut down and not be interested in it. Due to all of the hype and stuff that's gone on with it. But, technically it is a metaverse thing. The virtual campus is a three-dimensional website, essentially. But it's a pretty cool world that I'm working on building that has games built into it, challenges, ways to unlock digital collectibles. There's all sorts of Easter eggs kind of peppered throughout, so that if you kind of wander around the campus, you can find little things. And I'll probably actually might jump into some of that here, because I put a new element in on yesterday. Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see here. Get my screen shared. Da da da. Da 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 da. Okay. Here we go. So let me get connected here. So one thing I did recently, for any of you that have looked at this already, is it was very slow to load because of all of the different assets that I had on this one page. So I did strip out a lot of things, reduced file sizes, and have started using what are called scenes within Frame VR to loosen the load and make it easier to load on different devices and that sort of thing. So one thing that I built recently that I'll show you, what did I do? Let me get my controls here. My laptop is slow because I'm doing so much with streaming and everything else, but if you haven't seen this, here's our little classroom. Over towards the back there that you see, that is kind of like study meeting rooms. And so when you come in here, you can hang out with someone else, use the whiteboards, whatever. People outside of these rooms cannot hear your conversation, so each one is private. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to show you. Let's go out here. So over here, I made this little hangout space that I thought was cool, with a little bit of scenery to check out here. So this is what I built last night. And when I say I didn't build these 3D models. I'm putting them on the page. There are other people that have provided all these 3D models and everything. And like some of this, you'll see it's kind of glitchy a little bit, but like there's one of the references to the person that came up with the model of this tree that's right here. And it's a really beautiful model of a tree, really very detailed. But anyway, one thing that's cool is you can click on this bench, and now you're sitting down on the bench. So this is something that I hadn't really set up yet. In a lot of places, you can't really like sit down on the seats, but now I'm working on changing that. And so you can look around. I added the moon up here for your viewing pleasure. That's spinning around, and a floating island there. I'm going to end up putting some things here in the front, probably some cannabis plants and things there. Also, I don't have it set up yet, but there will be a little secret connected to this floating question box that probably within the next few days or so I'll have set up. So if you're watching this, you're getting a little tip there. In this portal, I'll let you figure out where that goes. I don't want to spoil everything. What else have I updated here? Oh, yeah. So if you look around the back now, there used to be a whole bunch of podcast posters back here for every episode. And those are gone now because we now have... This was one of the ways I kind of stripped things down a bit so it'll load faster. So now if you want to reveal the path of podcasts, you have to answer a question. And if you answer it correctly, then all of the podcast episodes appear, and then you can wander through and explore all of those podcast episodes. I did something similar for the dispensary model that was out here. For those of you that don't know, I have there's a model of a dispensary that's publicly available, a 3D model that I've hidden in here, that if we click this, there she is. And let's see, sometimes she doesn't work right, so we'll see if she does. Yeah, for some reason it's been a little glitchy and doesn't want to show the inside of the model, and I don't know why. I'm gonna have to work on it some more and get it to work. But typically what it used to do is you just walk in here. Oh, we caught a glimpse of it. If you saw that, for a split second, it showed what it looks like on the inside. Anyway, you can see what I'm working on. Click this to go back. So that's not loaded. What other little secrets are there here? I don't want to spoil everything. But if you're a Doctor Who fan, there's something to find here. I'll just say that. Oh yeah, and these Doradons I added to our reflecting pool here. I'll let you find out what happens if you click on those. There's some interesting things you can learn that is relevant to cannabis, I promise. Yeah, so that gives you a little glimpse into some ways I'm trying to make the virtual campus a little faster and easier to use. We'll be doing some events here, probably starting in March. Definitely in April we'll do a 420 event here. But yeah, it's fun. If you press this button, then you can see your avatar. This is what mine looks like, which is actually pretty darn close to what I look like in real life. But yeah, there's lots of things here I put to explore. I will be adding little secrets, like if you click on certain equipment and things, you'll be potentially given some digital rewards or the chance to win some digital rewards. So yeah, every day I'm kind of plugging around, trying to get this thing updated and make it interesting. I'm trying to think if I did anything different in the exhibition hall. Let's go over there and see. And okay, here we are. So I do have a couple. I did update some of the sponsor booths. You can hear some of that music. You mostly only hear the music now if you step over into that area, kind of the lounging area. In the sponsor booths, it's more quiet so people can hear conversations. And this is an area that once we launch some of our events later in the year, this is a place where folks can come to hang out while waiting in between speakers and things like that. This is a little booth for my lab, Natural Learning Laboratories. That's another thing I can talk about at some point. I'm working on getting my own lab going. It's slow moving, but we're getting there. What else? And then Magnolia Botanicals is a company that I have in Mississippi. We make, right now, really just a topical salve product that utilizes a lot of medicinal plants and Eastern like tree essential oils and things. Yeah, this is a place to check out sponsors. It's Treadwell Farms, a great group of people out of Florida. Over here, I have this set up so that you can browse our contributors, everyone who's ever done anything on the Curious About Cannabis podcast. You can find them here. I'm trying to find as many ways as I can to, just shine light on all of the people that have helped get Curious About Cannabis where we are today. So yeah, there's Green Earth Medicinals. It's a company I worked with back in 2017 or so. They make different botanical products that utilize cannabis as an ingredient. Yeah. So anyway, that's some of the updates I have for the virtual campus. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There is actually something else I wanted to show you on here. Trying to think of how I want to get to where I need to go. Let's see, I'll just type it up here. Alright, let me check the live stream real quick, make sure everything's okay. Okay, it's looking good. Alright, so in this spot here, there's a little thing that I've added that you can look for. So there's a little card on the floor here, and if you click on it, you'll be taken to a room all about our digital collectibles. If you want to learn more about those, you can do that here. You can check out some of the collectibles that we have. It's basically a way of my starting to come up with ways to gamify education projects and be able to give people rewards. These collectibles can contain embedded coupon codes, links to hidden websites that have special content, all sorts of different things like that. Sometimes they serve as tickets for events, like the Curious About Cannabis Masterclass that we have coming up. So, yeah, anyway, I think that's all the new stuff for now, at least that I can think of. Let me see if I can work this and come back to you here. All right. Let's see. Yep. Cool. All right. So a couple things I learned. I got to get another monitor so that I can have all of this YouTube streaming stuff on another screen, because that's one thing that's messing with me right now. But anyway, that's about all I've got for this live stream. I just wanted to continue to play around with the new camera. I wanted to tell you about the third edition of the book and just kind of present that and some of the other books that we've released, let you know about them, tell you a little bit about the stuff that I've been working on in the virtual campus. And then the Curious About Cannabis Masterclass has about 9 seats left in it. So if you want to attend, this is a really epic class. It runs 6 months long. We meet every other Thursday morning for 6 months. There's over a dozen special guests that include doctors and scientists, researchers, and different industry people. I think we've got 14 of them for this masterclass, which is the most I think we've ever had. And these are folks that are going to be talking about all sorts of things like cannabis genetics and cannabis chemistry, cannabis testing, extraction, the endocannabinoid system, medical applications of cannabis, all sorts of stuff. So it's a really unique event. Like I said, it's 6 months long. It's really intensive. It's not an easy class, but it's very, very rewarding if you're really looking for something to force you to study things that really matter to you about cannabis and to really learn more and take your education to the next level. This is a really perfect event for that. So you can learn more about that at masterclasscannabis.com. I'd love to have you in class. I'm the primary instructor, so you'd be learning with me for 6 months as well as getting introduced to all of these awesome people. So learn more about that. We also have a couple of scholarships. I'm closing the scholarship window, application window, in just a couple of days. So if you want to apply for a scholarship, that's at cacpodcast.com/scholarships, and get that application in quick. So we'll be deciding on those. I have 2 partial scholarships and 2 full scholarships that I'll be issuing for the master class. And then we have a couple of other events that I'm going to be announcing soon. I'll probably do a live stream, I don't know, in a day or two and talk to you about those. But we've got all sorts of cool classes that I'm trying to put together. And I think we also have a couple of giveaways that I'll talk about in the next live stream as well. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers. Thanks for catching me in the live stream. I wasn't sure if anybody was actually here, but thanks for joining. If you're watching this video after the fact, thanks so much. Stay curious and take it easy. Bye-bye.